Hi, and welcome to Hunto Plays Games. I hope you're doing well. This is the second part of a discussion between me and Brent discussing our top 10 favorite Nintendo Switch titles. If you haven't already listened to the first video, make sure you go back and give that a watch. We're about to pick back up with Brent's fifth pick and move through our honorable mentions and reveal our top titles. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And now, back to Hunter and Brent in the past.
Okay.
I think I'm about to get another point.
My number 5 is The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, that's a point.
And I'm apparently in the minority that thinks that this game is better than Breath of the Wild. And it just is. Okay? Before you say anything,
I'm not. This is your time to talk.
Let me speak my truth and say that I was disappointed by Breath of the Wild. I thought it was a bunch of empty, and the story was not. I will say that it was not to my expectations, and my expectations were high. Mm-hmm. So maybe my expectations were too high, and that's on me. Mm-hmm. But everything that Breath of the Wild has and doesn't have, Tears of the Kingdom has or does better, in my opinion. Yeah. I think the story's better. We don't get the story just through like these memories that you have to find. There's like 2 ongoing stories really at the same time with Zelda, and technically Zelda's our memories too, but like since she like, spoiler, this is a spoiler for the first 5 minutes of the game, since she does go back to the past, you kind of feel like they are running at the same time anyway, because you lost her. So I really like that. There's a real villain this time. There's Ganondorf, you know, like in the first one, like there's just this weird mechanical spider guy, and then you fight a ghost pig. Yeah. Like, who's that? What? Where'd you come from? Yeah. Who is that? You don't explain it. And so we actually get, you know, Ganondorf, the villain of this series. And then he, you know, I don't want to spoil that ending, but then it gets worse at the very end, which is good. That takes the place of Mr. Pig. But and it's just like the fact that you have the sky and the underground, whatever they called it, the nether. I can't remember what they called the underground part of Hyrule, and is just incredible. It basically is incredible. And before you say anything that the sky's boring, the fact that it's there is incredible. Yeah. Okay. The fact that we can like go up there and be so high up and fly around to all the islands, and the low gravity sections are so fun to be in. Trying to get to all these tiny little islands and see what's on them, see what I can find. Koroks, whatnot. Yeah. Those little green orbs that you get, they have to collect for something I can't remember.
The mechanical part things? Is that what you're talking about?
No, not the Zonai energy things, but like they were like other orbs. They were like a dark green color. I can't remember what they're called. But to like get up there and then to be able to like go through a seamless transition from the sky to the regular Hyrule all the way down to underground, without any loading screen that's insane.
Crazy. Yeah. And
the fact that underground is the entire like landscape of Hyrule, but inverse, is crazy. Like the mountains are valleys and the valleys are mountains and all that kind of stuff, and the fact that you can just like go around. And I will say the underground is a little lacking. I will say that there's more types of enemies than there are in Breath of the Wild. There's like 3 in Breath of the Wild. And they added a lot more like veteran enemy types from other Zelda games into Tears of the Kingdom also, which was a lot of fun to be able to see those. And I'll say this, before Breath of the Wild came out, I was excited about it, and I had a dream about it, and I had a dream that you could go into a cave, and you weren't able to go into a cave.
You made it happen.
But you could go into a cave in Tears of the Kingdom. The caves were cool. Oh, and the item synthesizing and all that stuff too, to like get the monster parts together to like make your powerful weapons and stuff is so cool that they didn't have the new abilities like Ascend and Ultra Hand.
Yeah, I like those a lot.
Yeah, made like traversing really fun. You can go all the way up from the underground up straight up to the top of the mountain. Yeah, it was really cool with Ascend. So I just think it's better in every possible way. And I just really enjoyed it, and I like the story. and I will love Zelda and Link to the end of time.
I like that we got a continuation of the story that started in Breath of the Wild with the same characters. I think that's really great. That doesn't really happen in Zelda games. You kind of get different incarnations of Link and Zelda.
Yeah.
This was not my most favorite game on the Switch. I think it might be the Zelda that shows me that I don't like Zelda all that much, which is kind of like, unfortunate, because I've played like Wind Waker, and I've played Skyward Sword, and I played a little bit of Ocarina of Time, and played Twilight Princess, but Breath of the Wild was good. I liked the kind of take on it. I think I would have preferred there to be a different Zelda and then Tears of the Kingdom. I understand like it's the same engine, and like practically that doesn't make sense, but I wish like there had been more time in between the two, like, or like an entry in the middle. Maybe not time, because there was a good amount of time, but I think I wish there had been a different entry in the middle to kind of get you through, because I think it's just too much of the same for me. Even though there's all of these new abilities, all of these new mechanics, it just felt too similar to Breath of the Wild. And I think the world's beautiful. I think it runs, really well on the Switch, considering how old it is at this point. And I think it's impressive what they were managed to do with it. But if you don't like fast cars, you don't like fast cars, and like it being technically proficient doesn't make it a fun game for me. So, I jokingly tell you that I think it's a $60 DLC, which is not fair to the game, but it's not my most favorite Zelda. And I just like, I remember I was like, I kind of made myself get to the end of it, because I was like, I want to see what it is. I know it's going to be a big game that people talk about, but then like I feel like it had its moment, and then like now I don't feel like anybody's like screaming from the rooftops anymore about how great it is,
except for me,
except for you. There you go. You got to be the change you want to see.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, like,
talk about games I was talking about.
Yeah, but it's like Breath of the Wild is like, look how impactful this game is, and Tears of the Kingdom came out and like people are like, yeah, and then now I guess it's like we're in the wake of like Switch 2.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll be looked upon fonder, in the next couple years. But I don't think it definitely wouldn't be as impactful as Breath of the Wild, because it's not the first. But I think it does improve a lot of things. It just wasn't my cup of tea.
Yeah. Also, the dungeons are just so much better.
I'll agree there. Yeah.
The dungeons in Breath of the Wild are just the same thing 4 times. And these are each unique to their regions, and the bosses are more unique than themselves. Also, I don't know, I love it. I didn't want to like roll the credits, because I didn't want to stop playing.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean I have to stop playing. I have gone back to it since I rolled the credits.
Love to go back.
But yeah. Yeah, I can go back to it. There's plenty more stuff that I can do. There's a lot more Koroks I need to find.
Oh my god. That's something I'll never do. All right, that brings us to my number 5 pick, which is Super Metroid.
Yay! I put that one.
I wasn't sure if you would put that one down or not. We joked about it the other day. You're like 100%.
I know.
Super Metroid. I was like,
I did, and I said that because I figured that you would put that.
Testing the waters.
And that's why it's like you said that about the NSO thing, and I was like, you said, so any game on there could be fair game. So then my brain immediately went to Super Metroid.
I kind of thought that you might want to put Link to the Past, because like you're a big Zelda fan. I was like, maybe that'll make his list. I mean, it could still be on your list. I don't know. I do not know.
We have 4 more to go.
We have 4 more to go. I think for me, Super Metroid is just so impressive because it came out in 1994.
Yeah.
And it does not feel like it did. There is so much of the Metroid DNA in that title. Having played the remakes of Metroid, it's just impressive to me how much the 1994 release got right, that they went back and fixed the rest of the series, or made it feel more like the rest of the series. The movement feels innovative for the time. Like, I was kind of looking up best Super Nintendo titles, and like Super Metroid is like gotta be one of the most innovative, because like Earthbound, you think about Earthbound, you think about like even Chrono Trigger, or you think about like Super Mario World, like Metroid I think was just really innovative. I think it has some of the best atmosphere and soundtrack, just like, again, for a Super Nintendo game, like it is got atmosphere in spades. Like, it is so impressive to me. I think it's a textbook example of solid level design and fun gameplay. I mean, it really spawned, I think that's the one that really kind of popularized the term Metroid and Metroidvania. And I think it also cements Samus as one of the best like heroines in video games.
Yeah.
And despite it being a Super Nintendo game, I think it's one of the must-play experiences on Switch.
Yeah.
So
I think this year I'm gonna start on my 2D Metroid journey. Like finally, I've not. You did them a couple
did
years
them
ago.
like back to back to back to back,
Yeah.
like in 21 or 22.
Yeah, and I've been interested in them, and I think I can finally play most of them
Yeah.
easily, if not all of them, and then find some way to play the ones that I can't. But I'm excited because they're all really good. And I think I still have your copy of Dread.
You might have Dread, and you might have my Samus Returns.
I know I have that one.
So like you get half of it right there almost.
I don't
With the Switch, you've got everything except for the fourth one. So
Yeah.
I think it's a really great series. I think they inspired a whole lot of other games. I think if they were to add Fusion to NSO, I think it would be great. I mean, they've been really dedicated seemingly lately to getting a lot of series on Switch. Like you can play all of Pikmin, you can play all of Xenoblade. I'm sure you can. There's probably a couple more I'm not thinking of that you can play most of the entries on Switch. So hopefully we'll see, Metroid being that next one. I think if they ported over Samus Returns, that would be really great. And then that way you'd have the whole set. So.
Yeah. All right, so my number 4 is Undertale.
Oh, I got that one.
I figured you would because I am obsessed with this game. So I played this game on my Switch for the first time, was it last year?
Last year or the year before?
ago?
I mean...
I think it was last summer, so maybe like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Is when I played through that for the first time, and I love it so much. I didn't know anything going into this game. The only thing I knew was what Sans looked like, and I knew the first few notes of Megalovania.
Right.
Just because of the meme.
Right.
And Sans's head is about the meme too, because it kind of goes together.
Blue eye thing.
Right. Yeah, that's the single blue eye. And that's the only thing I knew.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the protagonist looked like. I had no idea about Papyrus. Didn't know anything about him. Or
Undyne.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about Undyne or Asgore or Toriel or Asriel or anybody, and it's just it's so good. So
Did you know about Glorfindel?
Lord of the Rings. They're kind of the same. Toriel is actually the name of the elfin
the Hobbit.
The Hobbit,
yeah. That's what made me say that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's okay. So I didn't know anything. So I was going in completely blind. Nick was there to help me along because he wanted to make sure I didn't kill anything.
Yeah.
He wanted to make sure I did a true pacifist run, and because that's the best version of this game. And I've again fell in love with the characters. I'm a very character-driven player. If I like the characters, I like the game. And the fact that you don't kill anything I thought was very unique. And the ways that you have to get to the option of sparing them.
Right.
You can't just spare them. You have to do something.
Figure it out.
Right. You have
a puzzle.
Right. And it's a lot of fun. And the music is incredible. The soundtrack is so good. I think Toby Fox composed all of these things, the music himself, which is just incredible. It's just the way he wrote it and the way he put it into the 16-bit sound, and the orchestrations on everything is just so good. Every person, characters, unique theme for themselves. The battle music is incredible. It's just everything about it is so good. And this one is so high up on my list because not only because I like it, but it's because it surprised me how much I liked it.
Yeah.
I was not expecting to like it this much, and it impacted me a lot more than I thought it was going to. This little game that when you look at it, it doesn't look like anything important.
Right.
If you're just looking at gameplay or what the sprites look like and all that, it turned into something so huge. And it's just, that had a big impact on the world many years before.
Right.
I learned about it, and I'm kind of surprised that I ended up still being so in the dark about it. Because it was such a big thing back when it came out. And I played it in the year 2023. But I'm glad. I'm glad that I was not spoiled by anything, that I could experience it all myself for the first time. Infuriating game at times.
Yeah.
Really infuriating. But that didn't make me rage quit or anything. I did get mad a few times, but I persevered and I got through, and I'm so glad I did. The true pacifist ending also, it's just so good.
I thought Undertale was pretty good. I think for me, I have never played like a bullet hell game before.
Yeah, me neither.
And I was not expecting that of Undertale.
Yeah.
I think I always thought it was more like a turn-based RPG, which, you know, is not a problem for me if it was turn-based, but it does have a lot of heart in there. I think you can see the inspiration from games like Earthbound and how they approach storytelling.
Yeah.
But it wasn't one of the games that just like swept me off my feet. Undertale is one of those games that like has such a big like cultural impact. It's like synonymous with being like one of the maybe most popular indie games.
Yeah.
Like if you think of indies, like
I would agree.
I don't know, for some reason I don't think of it as an indie. Kind of in the same way I don't think of Hollow Knight as an indie. I think it's just like indie to me sometimes means like maybe unknown, and it doesn't have that factor. You know what I mean? Despite it being like a solo developed game,
Right.
it's just like it's so well known. I think it's hard for me to be like, oh yeah, that is an indie, isn't it? Kind of like Stardew Valley doesn't feel like an indie either.
Right.
You know, even though I think that's also a game made by one person.
Right.
You know, which is ridiculous.
The first few FNAF games.
Yeah. And like again, not a game I would think to describe as indie because of like now, especially how like
It's not an
like
indie
marketing,
now, but
marketing and stuff for that
Yeah.
game has been recently. But anyway, yeah, I think Undertale for me is just one of those games that I played. I didn't enjoy the combat, and I thought the story was like okay. I know I like said Eastward to me felt like a lot like Mother 3, and I loved it for that. But Undertale just like what didn't click with me, I think, as much as it did with you. And I think that's one of the reasons maybe why I didn't enjoy it as much is like I saw how much you liked it, and I was like, oh, I didn't have that same experience. Which I'm not saying it was a bad game or anything like that. It's just like I just didn't happen to enjoy it as much as you, which is okay. You know,
that's
that's
fair,
like, you know, I just kind of was like, oh, like he really enjoyed that, and so
Really?
for me, I was like, oh, maybe I'm gonna really enjoy it, and I thought it was good. So you know, like I think it's a good pick for the list. Did you want to say anything else about? I was literally gonna say Balatro. Anything else about Undertale before we go on?
I loved it. I would like to play it again. I would like to play Pacifist again. I watched Nick play
The
Murder Route.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I have no interest. I watched him do it, and that's all I.
Yeah.
That's good enough for me. But I would play Pacifist Route again for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that brings me to my number 4, and I don't know if you think I'll put that on here or not. Oh, I hear the pin clicking. AI Somnium Files.
Oh nope, I didn't put that on there.
Dang. This game was a surprise to me. I had picked it up, and I remember seeing it in a direct, and then like couple months, maybe a year later, I thought about it again because it has that trailer where Iris is missing her eye on the merry-go-round.
Oh yeah.
And like she has like she's like e-girl pink
remember
hair,
that trailer,
and then like she's on this like black like dark carousel, and they like open the door and she's in there, she's missing an eye. And I was like, it literally, I felt like it was a fever dream of a trailer because I later thought of it and I was like, do you remember that trailer? I like remember texting you like, do you
We
have
talked
any
about it.
idea about what this game was? That random game, and I think at first you didn't even remember it.
Yeah, I don't think
And then
I
like
did.
I finally was able to find the trailer, and you're like, oh yeah, that one looks weird. And so like I bought it, and then I kind of like decided to play it around Christmas time. It was right after Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's, maybe a year or two ago, and it blew me away. I know the person who makes the game makes, I think they're called the Nonary games, or the Zero Escape series 999, and I've heard those are even better than AI Somnium File, and I definitely want to check those out. But for my first experience with one of those with one of the games that he directed, I think it was really great. And again, a game I don't hear people talk about all that much. It maybe is that it's a little janky. I think I'll concede that it is. There's some things in you kind of have these two worlds where you've got the world where you're a detective and you have an eyeball that's an artificial intelligence, and they can go into people's minds. I think they call it syncing. You can sync with the person, and you go into their like thoughts, and you're like uncovering what happened. And they have this like time mechanic that I thought I was doing right for most of the game, and I didn't. And so like there's some jank in there, and I looked up a guide because I was having such a hard time doing the activities. But it was like every action you had like a minute or something, or maybe it was like 5 minutes, and every action cost a certain amount of seconds. And so when you did actions, if you didn't lock in, there were these little time things that you would do. So instead of it taking 2 minutes, it might take 3 seconds. So it was like this kind of weird, like I didn't lock those in, so I was losing all this time, and I had to try to get it perfectly in order to be able to sync successfully and get the story to progress. But it's one of those, like, it has a literal corkboard that has like multiple branching paths, and like it looks like the conspiracy theory wall.
Yes.
And when you get to the true ending, it's like, it's crazy. But there's so many little journeys that you go down, and it's the first time I had felt really emotional playing a game in a long time. There was a couple characters, and like, again, I kind of said about Eastward, but this one's like got some really over the top characters, and they managed to put real moments in there that just kind of gut punch you. There's this character who's like, oh, so sweet and everything, and then there's a reveal about them and like the implications that have about the relationships that character has, that like puts I just remember being really sad after that. I was like, this game, this silly like visual novel style game, is making me feel sad about a condition that a fictitious character has. And I was like, I know that's something that I feel like you experience typically more than I do in a video game. Like, you're maybe more empathetic with the characters than I am, and I enjoy the story. But for me, like, that was such a cool experience where I was like, oh, this is really sad, and it makes you sad as you're playing it. Is over the top, is zany. There's that musical number, Flying Sparkle Rainbow or whatever it is, where the whole cast sings at the end. And it's like, and they all dance. It's fun, but at the same time, I think there's a lot of, like, I would say maybe like more heavy kind of things that are in there, and just also shout out to the voice actors. I think they did a really great job selling that game. I think they're really good, and I laugh at the main character's name being Kaname Date, looking like the name's Kaname Date. But it's really good. I have the second one, which I think is called Nirvana Initiative, I think is what it is. I'm excited to play that one. I'm looking forward to that. But one of, like, a surprisingly weird thing that I just think that emotional moments that the game made me feel really like put that up towards the top, and something, a game that I haven't stopped like admiring, and like I'm kind of holding off Nirvana Initiative as a treat for myself.
Yeah, I get that, because I said this earlier, but like I'm such a character driven consumer of media. Yeah. Whether it be games, movie, book, whatever. So I get really attached to characters. If they're sad, I'm sad. Yeah. Like, if something bad happens to them, I'm sad about it, even though they are fake. Right. And that happens all the time to me. So I get that for sure. Most of the games on this list have characters that I'm like deeply attached to, that I love. So I get it.
All right. Number three.
Number three. I'll go ahead and mark your, give you a point for this one, because my number three, third favorite Switch game, is Xenoblade Chronicles 1.
Your third favorite is 1?
Yep.
Yeah, you can give me a point for that.
I already did.
That surprises me, but go ahead.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So
you have a Xeno saga.
I do have a Xeno saga, if you will, explaining my initiation into this game. I'm gonna credit it to this, because this is the only memory that I have of hearing the word Xenoblade Chronicles before I started playing it. Is a friend on Facebook was like asking if there were any other good JRPGs on the Switch. He's like, there's Xenoblade Chronicles, but that's it. And I had never heard of it before. And I was like, what is Xenoblade Chronicles? And so I remember I was at your house, your parents' house. Was this in college, I guess? Because that was the only time I really spent the night at your parents' house, was when we were in college, when I was visiting. I was reading the Xenoblade Chronicles Wikipedia page. This was like probably 2016 or so. Yeah.
Or it would have had to have been around then, because that's when the Switch 2 had Xenoblade Chronicles 2 on it. Like Switch came out around 2016.
Switch came out in 2017.
So it's probably around then, 2017 maybe. Yeah. Because like Xenoblade 2 would have already been out, so somewhere around there.
Yeah, but I think I was researching before 2 came out.
Oh.
And I'll get to why I think that in a second. But I had researched it, and I watched the trailer and everything, and I was like, oh my god, this seems like so over the top.
You watched trailer for 2 or 1? 1. Okay.
2 didn't exist. Okay. At this point. It was just the first one. And so I watched the trailer for the first one, and I was like, 1, they look like potatoes. Then I was like, 2, it looks so over the top. And I like over the top. but I was like, this is a lot. Like, the trailer's really busy. If you watch the trailer, it's crazy. There's a lot of spoilers, non-context spoilers in that trailer. So then I just kind of like forgot about it. But then Xenoblade 2 came out, and I had a Switch. There wasn't very many games on the Switch at that time.
No.
Right? This is because Xenoblade came out in like December of 17, and the Switch came out in March of 17. So I had Breath of the Wild and I think Mario Odyssey. I had played both of those already, I think. And I was like, Xenoblade 2 seems like a good meaty game or whatever. And I was like, but it's the second one. And I was like, if it's the second one, I probably need to play the first one first.
Right.
And I had already like watched the trailer and read about it before. And that's why I think that 2 hadn't come out yet, because I had that recall memory. I have that memory of recalling, watching that trailer and stuff before this. It's all kind of hazy.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
that game
7-8 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was able to play Xenoblade 1 on the virtual console on my Wii U.
Yeah.
Because it's a Wii game.
Yeah.
And it was only $20. And I was like, it was $20. What the heck? And so I started it. And
that's all it took.
Really, that's all it took. Like, there's not much more to say. I just played the game.
You played part of it and you stopped. Why?
Right, yes. I played until the first major thing happens in like the very beginning of the game.
Yeah.
That's a spoiler, even though it is at the very beginning, it's still a spoiler to me. I don't want to say anything. But I got to that point and I was so enthralled.
Yeah.
I was like, I have to keep going. This is so good.
It is a heck of a hook.
Yeah. It is so good. But my problem was that like I had never played a JRPG before.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know I needed to upgrade my weapons and my armor. And I was going and things were getting harder and harder, and I didn't know why.
Yeah.
Because at this point I had played the majority of the 3D Zelda games.
Right.
And you don't have to upgrade armor in those games.
Yeah, you're like not optimizing gear. You're not
right, you're not going to the shop and spending money that you
it
acquired.
Just happens.
Yeah. So like I didn't know how to do all that, and I got to Spiral Valley and I was like, I literally can't do this anymore. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, because I didn't at the time. And so I had to stop because I just didn't know. And then Octopath Traveler came out, and I was really into that game, and that's the game that made me realize that I have to buy armor.
Yeah, that's
stronger
interesting.
armor and stronger
that's
weapons.
Interesting. I don't think I realized that.
I don't know. There wasn't a tutorial.
No, but you probably just went to a shop.
Right, I probably went into a shop and I was like, oh,
that's the thing.
This is better. So let me do that. So like that's literally the game that taught me that
that's funny.
Need to do that. And then after that, I don't think I played Final Fantasy 12 after in between there. I can't remember. But then I wanted to try Xenoblade again. So I started again. This was like maybe fall of 19, I think.
Yeah.
The first attempt was like January of 18. So it was like fall of 19. I tried it again, and it clicked. Everything went well. I was doing good. I was obsessed just as much as I was the first time. So I went all the way to Prison Island. I was loving it. I was doing great. I was like, I'm gonna finish this game. This is fantastic. And they announced the definitive edition for the Switch to come out the following like spring in 2020. And I was like, well, after watching the trailer, I was like, I have to finish this on the Switch. It looks so much better. The character models are so much better. So I stopped cold turkey right in the middle. Yeah. I said, I can't play anymore. And so I think I played East 8 after that. And then I think when it came out, I got it, I guess, first day and played it day one, I would assume. Yeah. And then I played through it to the end the whole summer, nonstop, moving straight through. And obsessed is not a good enough word. I just keep saying that, but it is. I love the characters. The gameplay was good. The like art system and the auto battle. I liked how they auto attacked while I chose my next thing. I didn't have to like wait for me to decide what to do. They would still hit the person. Yeah. The chain attacks, although they get better in the normals in the rest of the series, I hadn't played those yet, so this was as good as it was, you know. And then just the twist at the start of the third act of the game is just incredible. It threw me off my seat, and I'm such a sucker for a plot twist. Yeah. And if it's good and if it surprises me, that's even better.
You want no context that something's about to happen. You just want it to happen.
Right. I just want it to happen.
Yeah, you want a surprise. Don't give me any hints. No cookie crumbs that lead you there. No.
Don't give me any hints. Don't give me
any
like...
Slam the door in my face.
Right. Yes. I want to be thrown out of left, come out of left field, hit me upside the head and give me concussion. Yeah. Like that's how I want my plot twist to be, and this is what it was. Oh yeah. And it was so good. And I just all the way to the end, I loved it. The twist at the very end after you fight the first boss was so good, it blew my mind. Yeah. Literally. And I could not get enough of it. I'm not stopped thinking about it since.
Xenoblade, first of all, I have to commend you for stopping in the middle and going back and finishing it.
Especially right after Prison Island.
I think I would have either said I'm going to finish this game and pick up the DE and play it later, or I'm not going to play this game. Like, I mean, it's like I understand like the remake, but if I get halfway through a game and something like that happens, I just don't know what I would do. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because I liked it so much.
I understand. It's just like if I was halfway through, I was just
that
like,
good at the end, and I wanted to experience it, because if I finished it on the Wii, I would be a lot less inclined to buy it on the Switch version, because I'd already played it.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I just like RPGs are not short, and to be that about like halfway through and then be like, I'm just gonna do it somewhere on another system, that's like crazy. I got it because you were excited about it. We were living together at the apartment,
Screaming about it.
We were
play this game
right there in the middle of the pandemic or start of it. I mean, like it was
came
crazy.
Out in May, I think.
Yeah, and so like I got it and I played it through because you liked it.
Played through it together, right?
Yeah, pretty close. It did not have the impact on me that it did on you. That's why I was kind of earlier was like 2 is my preferred over the first 2 for sure. It's good. I think I would appreciate it more now. But for me, I was just like, okay, like it had the, again, like kind of unique combat system, which we'll kind of get to later, not to spoil any of my other picks, but I'm a big turn-based guy. Like I grew up, my bread and butter is turn-based. Like I spent a lot of time, and so for something like Xenoblade to have its combat be so MMO-ish was like a big departure, but I enjoyed it. I think there's a lot of really good story moments in it. I was glad I played it. I think that's kind of maybe similar to how I felt about Xenogears, is like maybe in a couple years I'll revisit it and I'll have a different experience with it. But I think the cast of characters is really great. I think the storytelling is really good. I think it's a lot more focused than what 2's story is, despite me liking 2 more. I think 1's story is more focused. Yeah, I think it's a great game. I think it's I think any person who likes RPGs should try it out. I mean, like, it's a definite recommendation, if for no other reason than you have 2 more games that are
even better.
Like just as good or even better. So did you want to talk at all about Future Redeemed or Future Connected?
So when I was putting these together, I also said this earlier, I took the DLCs into account. This would have been number 2,
right?
But Future Connected dropped it down a number, because it just wasn't the same, as the base game. It's just, I don't know. I didn't feel like anything happened, to be honest. In the story, I really liked the Pawn Specters. I thought they were cute. I loved collecting all of them and having them all trail behind me. It was so fun. They kind of marketed it as it would connect to Xenoblade 3 a little bit, but I don't see any of that at all.
Yeah, that's my problem with Future Connected also, is I think, I mean, I guess in some ways you can see, quote unquote, Melia's rise to power.
Right.
How she became,
that may be what they mean.
But like, there's a whole bunch of stuff about Black Fog or Fog Beast, Black Fog. I can't remember exactly.
The
Fog Beast, and like that is in 3, but it is not at all a big component of that game. I don't feel like.
Yeah, it doesn't really mean anything.
I think Shoal gets a hoodie.
I do like the hoodie design.
Shoal gets a hoodie.
I really do. I love a hoodie. If you know me about me, I like Xenoblade and hoodies.
We see Riku's dad, Kino. I don't know.
Riku's son.
Not Riki. Riku.
Oh, Riku.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Riku's
you're
son,
right.
Kino is his dad, his great ancestor. You think it's Riki, but it's not. It's Kino. I don't know. There's some cute things. I like that Kino, and what's the other one's name?
I literally was going to say
Manana. Kino and his sister.
Kino and
Lala, whatever her name is. I like that they're like different versions of Ryan and Charla.
I think it's neat.
But yeah, no, I think, like I said, like I played 1 and I think I went back later and played Future Connected after 2.
I think that's what I did too.
And
I didn't play Future Connected because I wanted to play Xenoblade 2.
Yeah, I think that's also part of the problem. It's like 2's combat is just like superior to even like Future Connected.
I mean, it's superior to base game 1.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think
going back to that is hard, I will say, which is why a lot of people, if they start with 2, they may say that 2 is better.
I think that again, like soundtrack's pretty good.
Yes.
Like I think 2 is literally just like the piano on fire, but 1's like there's smoke coming out of it. You know, the piano like it's close to being as good as 2. I think there's lots of great tracks. Lots of like, especially for like a Wii game. I think like if you're looking at it through that lens, even though this is a Switch list, like there's a lot of like really big areas that they like push. Yes. And like same thing with 2, like 2 pushes the Switch. I think 1 does too. Like if you're even thinking about like Magna Forest and that like waterfall area right there, is really crazy. But yeah, 1 was a game that I played for you and that I liked, and 2's the game that made me fall in love with the series. And I think having played now 1 through 3, I could go back to 1 and have a better time. And I think the combat starts in an approachable way, where 2 is a little bit more like involved, and 3 is just like your brain, I feel like, can be split into 2 different things at some points with the way 3's combat is. Xenoblade 1's really good. I'm surprised it's 3rd, to be honest. Because in the same way that I felt like, well, I won't say anymore. That's like, you know.
What else could there be?
I think I got a pretty good idea. Your number 3 and my number 1, I'll say why I thought yours would have been higher. I'll just leave it with that.
Okay.
Do you want to guess what my 3rd one is?
No.
You don't?
I'll probably be wrong.
You might get 2 points because I cheated and I put 2 games in at number 3.
What? How can you do that?
Because it's one story.
Oh, can I guess now?
Yeah, you can.
The Crossbell Trails game.
Is that too much cheating?
No, because I put those on my list for you too.
There you go. Well, you can get 2 points if you put them as put them both down.
I literally put Crossbell Trails games.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, no, that's definitely number 3 for me.
Yeah.
Again, is it cheating to put 2 games in one slot? Maybe. But you want to have both of them downloaded, because as soon as you finish the first one, you want to see what happens in the second one. I started my Trails journey last year. I kind of talked a little bit about this in my last video, but holy cow, they got a bunch of chefs over there at Nihon Falcom. You know, I'm excited for the Trails First remake that's coming out later in the year.
I will be.
That to me is what I almost made this an honorable mention.
Oh.
Because I wanted to say you should start with.
Oh.
This is my turn to get.
Yeah.
But the Crossbell arc is just, I don't want to say is so much better, but I think it has things that it does a lot better than Sky. And I think it does things equally as well as Sky. I'm not sure if I'm ready to say it's better, but I think it's 1 game shorter, which is nice. And I also think that I don't know, I like the Sky trilogy a lot. I think you should start there, but I think Crossbell is really, really solid too. I'm not sure if I'm ready to say that I like Crossbell better than the Sky arc, but I think it's close.
Yeah. And by the way, these are the Trails from Zero and Trails to Azure.
Yes.
The duology games in the Legend of Heroes series.
Yes. Entry number 3, The Legend of Heroes, Trails from Zero, and The Legend of Heroes, Trails to Azure.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Should have said that.
The fandom calls them the Crossbell arc.
Yes, because they're set in the town of Crossbell, or the city of Crossbell. And the Sky trilogy is like really rural. You kind of have some developed, places. You're kind of walking around on like country roads a little bit. And Crossbell is a city, and you're working for the police. You're in the special support section. Because the reason you're told is that the Bracers, who you play as in the Sky trilogy, they're kind of like they're kind of like do-gooders. They're like go around helping people do tasks and stuff. They're too popular in Crossbell, and so the police department makes this special support section that basically does the same role as Bracers. They go around and kind of help people out, and they're trying to gain popularity for the police department because of how the police department's ratings tank, because the Bracers are more dependable. And so you kind of have this underdog story at the start of sort of Zero, where you're the new recruits and everybody's laughing at you because you're not really a police officer and you're not really a Bracer. You're kind of something like in the middle. But as it kind of goes on, the story, you kind of go from this underdog to being more respected and being able to take on bigger cases. I don't really want to spoil the reasons that I love these games so much, because it's integral to the plot, and I don't want to really ruin that for anybody. But I will tell you that the cast of characters is super memorable. You start with Sky. You have 2 kind of main leads. You have your Joshua and Estelle. And then in Zero to Azure, you kind of have 4. You have Randy Orlando. I mean, come on. Randy Orlando. You've got Lloyd Bannings, or as he says in the game, Lloyd Benningdis, all the time. And you've got Tio, and you've got Ellie as well, and like just the bonds that they make, and they're I think are really great, and overall just like a really strong cast of characters. Even the supporting cast is really good. I'll say that 1 has a big twist ending, and then you go into 2, and it's like twisting even more in a different way. And that's all I'll say is like, if you'll play 1 and you'll play 2, or if you play From Zero and then you play 2 Azure, you're in for a really good ride. And I'm glad they're on Switch. I'm excited that we're getting a new port of Sky Trilogy. Hopefully that will be a good starting place for everybody. I'd love to see...
Not just a port.
Well, that's what I meant. Yeah, a remake of Sky. I'd love for that whole trilogy to be remade to make it more accessible. But there's some really great games. I've really enjoyed the Trail series. I'm looking forward to playing some more this year. But that's my number 3 pick. Trails From Zero and Trails to Azure.
Nice. I want to play these two because I know they're right up my alley, and they're kind of in contemporaries with Xenoblade.
Yeah.
As far as like scope and story wise.
Yeah.
It's a big commitment, so I'll have to take it in little chunks. But also, I don't have a way to play the first 3 games.
Right.
Currently, I don't have a gaming laptop or a gaming computer that can run Steam.
Mine barely did.
Right. So I will play the remake.
Yeah.
Probably, but I'm afraid that I want to play the next 2 like soon after that, and like I might have to wait a couple years for a 2 remake.
Yeah.
You know, so that's just like I'm just like battling with that. The rest of the series is accessible.
Yeah.
But it's just these first 3 games, man.
Yeah, I think you should take the plunge.
Wrong,
I think you should take the plunge and do it. I think it would be hard, though, to play... I think they're calling it Sky First instead of First Chapter.
Yeah.
Now. I think the remake is Sky First. And then like have to wait for Sky Second.
Right.
I think it would be really hard because those are another case of you want to have the first 2 downloaded because you as soon as you finish 1, you're going to want to keep going.
Right.
So
so I'm just like kind of in that because I really want to play the remake because it looks really good.
Yeah, it does look really good,
and it will be on Switch.
All right.
Nice.
Number 2.
All right, number 2. Do you have any guesses of what my number 2 could be?
Here's the thing. I think I know your number 1. I don't know if I know your number 2.
Interesting.
I mean, I could guess for you.
Because this one I feel like is like almost really easy. Like the next easiest to what number 1 would be.
Here's the thing. I think I know what it is, but I don't think I would have put it above Xenoblade Chronicles.
Oh, okay.
So that's what's tripping me up. Is it Ys 8?
No.
Ys 8's not even in your top 10.
No.
Okay, see, I didn't put it in my top 10 either. Then my other guess would have been Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
It is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Yeah! Yep. Okay.
Because I love...
for me.
Yeah. Sorry, let me write that down. I love Mario Kart. It is so fun. It's my favorite party game ever. Has been since the Wii. I think Super Mario Kart is janky and hard. But
yeah,
Mario Kart Wii, I can play all those tracks like in my sleep.
Yeah.
Like I played it that much. And then we got 8 when the Wii U came out, and then of course I think I got the Switch bundle that had 8 in it when I first got my Switch. So sure, we've gone a whole console generation without a new Mario Kart. Like, should we have 9 by now? Probably yes. But this one has expanded so much. It's fine with me.
Yeah.
The amount of
the DLC
parts,
tracks are just like, that's your Mario Kart 9. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Even
like,
though they're like, even though most of them are like old from like other games.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're holding back on a 9. I mean, I'm assuming there's gonna be one on the Switch too.
Switch 2 is gonna be the big
but
one.
Like Mario Kart 8 came out with the Wii U.
Right.
In like 2012 or whatever.
Yeah, it's like over 10 years old. It's ridiculous.
But that being said, I love it.
Yeah.
It's just if I just want to like play something that's easy and chill, I'm good at it.
Something you can come back to.
Something I can come back to. Yes.
Put on the old favorite hoodie.
Yes. At the end of 23 is when they finished the final like DLC tracks. That last batch of them, they put so many Wii tracks in there, and I love it so much. Because I can play Coconut Mall without having to get out my Wii. Yeah. And it's just a nostalgic factor. Yeah. You know, but I love playing it with friends. And not only because I'm good at it, so that helps. Yeah. You know, I don't usually decide to play Smash Bros with friends because I'm not as good at it. I enjoy it, but I'm just like, you know, I'm just kind of butt mash, to be honest. But I don't know. Mario Kart is so fun. The zero gravity, like little thing that they had, where you your tracks go upside down and all that stuff.
Right.
Is really cool. And the fun part about the DLC tracks are like which ones from the other consoles are we going to get. Mm-hmm. And they did pretty good.
Like Yoshi's Circuit.
Yes. Like Yoshi's Circuit and Baby Park. Like the Mario Kart 7 Rainbow Road. That is an elite track.
Yeah.
And they put it in. And Wii Rainbow Road is the very last one in the last cup of the last DLC that they put in. And
just made it.
Finished strong. Yeah. Because I can play that one in my sleep. Yeah. And I smoked all of those computers the very first time I tried it because I can just...
For me, one of the things, and like I'm gonna be mean first. We said that we were gonna make a list of Switch games, and you've included a Wii U title. You experienced it first on the Wii U. And I'm just wondering how, in the spirit of the question, I'm just kidding.
I was like, oh,
I'm just kidding.
I didn't think about that.
No, that was me being mean.
Well, Xenoblade 1.
Okay, so technically you have two on your list.
I experienced it on the Wii first.
Yeah, you played both of them on the Wii U. Technically,
yeah, it was a Wii game.
Thank you, Wii U. No. Yeah. That's why I couldn't put Xenoblade Chronicles X on here yet. Also, it's not released. So.
Yeah, it's not released.
My other question, or maybe a suggestion, I guess, or one thing that I wish for in maybe the next Mario Kart, I wish there was a way to make customized cups.
Yeah.
I wish there was a way to just like.
I think so
Frankenstein together,
because
it would be
Smash,
so fun.
You can customize like your stock or your time or your.
They need some of those
Omega
options.
stages or whatever. Yeah. You can change your stage or whatever. Like they need to do. I agree, because like there's a lot of times that we've played that we were like, oh, let's do all Wii tracks, and we have to go in and like find them, or like all 64 tracks, and we have to go in and find them, and
Yeah, I think it would be cool. You could do an all Rainbow Road track.
Yes.
I mean, like or
there's like 5 of them in that game now,
and like. You don't even really have to have the ability to name and save them, although I think that would be nice.
Yeah.
You could just have it to where you select the 4 courses you play before you do them.
Right, and you just do
that
them
would
all
be
in
nice.
a row.
Yeah. Or I also think maybe some more customization options, like maybe you don't have boosters. Maybe it's all like you just pure driving. Like you can turn like the boosts on and off.
Like the drift boosts?
No, not the drift boosts, but like the speed up on the ground.
Oh, those.
Like those types of things.
Yeah,
like, obviously you would need to keep some of them to make the courses work. Mm-hmm. But, just thinking about more customizable options like Smash Bros. Have. Maybe you do times, or, they have the like battle modes, but maybe it is like if you get hit 3 times in a race.
Right, you're out.
You're out or something.
They went that way a little bit with customizable items.
Yeah.
They started doing that during the DLC packs.
Good. Yeah.
And I like that. It's fun because doing Baby Park on all blue shells
is chaotic.
It's so chaotic.
Yeah.
I love it.
But I
would say the battle tracks, or like whatever they're called, I never do much of that.
Right.
It's always just like the main racing. But that's good enough for me to be number 2.
Yeah.
I don't have to do the battles.
Mario Kart's great. I think it's a good inclusion. I wasn't sure. I guess now thinking about it, I was like, if it hadn't been on there, it would have felt weird, especially for your list.
Yes.
But I didn't know if maybe it was an honorable mention, since it was like a Wii U title primarily first. But I think it has enough added content to where that doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's like almost a whole different game.
Yeah.
But honestly, I didn't even think that it was a Wii U game until I started talking about it just now. It's a Switch game.
Yeah.
I've had it for the entire time I've had a Switch.
Yeah.
It's been playable on my Switch, so it's just fun. I can just put it in whenever I want.
There you go. I have a similarly nostalgic pick for my number 2.
Okay.
Despite it being a new game.
A new game.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if... Okay, there's one that I think might be... Oh, no, I know what it is.
Go ahead.
Pikmin 4.
It is. Number 2 for me is Pikmin 4.
I put that on my
One
list.
of my favorite franchises from childhood. Like, I remember... I think I had decided to like Pikmin just before the Wii came out, and so they were, or maybe even after the Wii had come out. I think Smash Brothers Melee really kind of like pushed a lot of weird games my way, because it was like, or not Smash Brothers Melee, Smash Brothers Brawl, because like they had all these like stickers and trophies and things, and like I'm pretty sure I came across like Chibi Robo that way, and I'm pretty sure I came across Pikmin as well, and it's been one of my favorite series since then, and I was so excited that we finally got a new release. Pikmin 3 was a new release for me when we were in college, and it had basically been 10 years since the last release. So, at this point, we're 9 years away from the next installment of Pikmin 5. Is going to be so good.
Yeah. On the Switch 3?
Yeah, Switch 3, Pikmin 5, baby. I don't know. I could gush about Pikmin for a long time, but I could understand people who thought that this entry was too easy with the inclusion of Ochi, but I think it was an enjoyable game. There's some challenge to be had outside of the main campaign. There's some like challenge modes that you can do, and I did them. I didn't get a gold rating on every single one of them, but I did them, and I 100% of them. You have to unlock purple Pikmin by completing these optional challenges so that you can go back and get one special trophy at the end, or not trophy, but a special treasure. I always liked Pikmin 2 more than Pikmin 1, and I'm not sure Pikmin 2 is a better game than Pikmin 1, but I remember thinking it was so cool finding real life treasures in a video game. And like Pikmin 2 on the GameCube had like branded items, like you could get the Vlasic pickle lid, or you could get a Duracell battery. It wasn't just like a battery and a lid, like they were brands, and I just thought that was so cool. I always loved reading their description of what they thought the item was. You know, there would be a you know, like you'd find like a sponge and it'd be like multiple person sleeping bunk or something like that, and they talk about how people would sleep in the holes or something of a sponge. And Pikmin 4 is like basically a sequel to Pikmin 2 in a lot of ways, where they bring a lot of that back. There's the compendium for the items that you have, and multiple people now give you their takes on what they think they are, and there's just a lot of like really cool things in that game. I think the graphics are beautiful. I think that it was enjoyable and kind of funny how the game was set up. There's all of these people who crash land on this planet, and so you have to go and rescue them. And just the fact that, like, you know, it used to just be Olimar who crash landed. Well, now there's just like 25 people who's randomly on this planet, and you got to go find them all.
Whole spaceship.
Yeah, just like they all came on their own spaceship, and they all crash landed. One of them's literally like I don't want to spoil anything, but one of them's like a school field trip that went wrong. It's super funny how they do that, and there's a lot of respect and homages to the previous Pikmin games. And there's one side mode in particular I won't spoil that, like, its inclusion just was like so rewarding as a longtime Pikmin fan. I'm looking forward to the next release, whenever it is, in 10 years. I also thought that it was interesting how much they marketed the game on like Instagram. They did a couple brand deals with like Capri Suns or Lunchables or something like that. Wow. I think they really pushed the game a lot, which is cool. So I'm hoping it's finding an audience that likes the way it is and doesn't feel like it needs to be changed. You know, sometimes getting new fans is a double-edged sword because like the next entry may be impacted, but I think they take their time with the Pikmin games, and I think it's well worth the time they take on them. So probably not surprising my pick for number 2.
Not at all. That was one that I was like very confident is in your list. That's another series that I have the first 3 games. But I haven't played them yet. So
you're gonna hate Pikmin 2.
I'll get there at some point.
But don't stop. You'll hate Pikmin
don't let
2.
that discourage you.
All right. Well, I think it's now time for our honorable mentions before we go any further. And these are games that should be on the list, but we decided not to put in our top 10. I'll let you go first with your first of your top 10. You can do both at the same time if you want.
Okay. So my first honorable mention is Astral Chain.
Oh, I did not put that. Very nice.
Yeah. I really liked this game. Every time I think about it, I'm like, that was so much fun.
Yeah.
And I did roll the credits.
Right.
But there's like a post-credit level or something.
Right.
That I've not gone back and done for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why. But every time I think about it, I think of how much fun it was, and I think about how much I want a second one.
Yeah.
I don't know how popular it was. I think the people that played it liked it generally. But I just don't know how many people actually played it.
Right.
I just don't really see that many people talking about it too much. But when I do, it's all good stuff. Yeah. Because it's a good game. It's fun. It's another action game because I like action games. And with your, whatever they're called, the little thing that's chained to you. It can be a dog, it can be a shield, it can be whatever. Your astral, who is chained to you. Yeah. Because you can control both of those things. You can you can have them run around the enemy and like wrap your chain around their legs and they fall and that kind of stuff. Or like that's like an attack. When you do that, it'll like give them some damage, and then you have your own weapon and all that stuff. And it's just really fun. There's like because you're a police, like a police member. Yeah. And there's that section of the game where you're like finding clues and figuring out what's wrong over here, like detective style kind of thing. And then there's the parts where you're fighting the homunculus.
Yeah.
Homunculi. It is really fun. I didn't think it was too challenging. I don't remember struggling with it very much.
Yeah.
So it was just really fun. I really liked it. I would like a second one.
I am interested to see if there's any hope with that. I think recently with Okami 2, the director over Platinum has left, and he was like the studio who developed Astral Chain and the like Bayonetta games, and so I think Platinum's kind of like in a precarious place, especially as some of the people are now going back to make another studio that works on former, because like Platinum was the company who made Okami, but they were called like Clover, and then now they were Platinum, and then now they're back to like, I think their new studio is literally called Clovers. Oh, so like I don't know. It's like I liked Astral Chain, or I wanted to like Astral Chain. For some reason, Platinum games give me a headache, and I cannot shake it. I don't know if it's some sort of particle effects or the way the camera moves or something. Like, I've tried to play Bayonetta so many times because I want to like it, and every time I get into that game, my head just starts hurting. And I didn't get through the first cutscene, and I was playing on the Switch, and my head started hurting. An Astral Chain, because you're driving on that bike, and there's like all of these particle effects and stuff, and like I got to where you like gain control of your character, and my head was like pounding, and I don't know what it is. Every Platinum game I've tried does that to me, and it makes me sad because I want to like Astral Chain a lot. Yeah. But it just gives me a headache. Yeah. So
that's unfortunate.
I know it is.
It's really fun.
Do you want to do your second one, or you want me to do one?
You can do one.
You want the boring pick or the interesting pick?
Do the boring pick first.
All right, Smash Bros.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
I put Smash Bros in there.
Yeah.
I think.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah, I think just generally, like, I'm not a big Smash head. Like, I'm not somebody who's like speculating on all the characters that could or couldn't be, introduced into the series. I'm not somebody who's like riding the hype train and throwing the fire in there. But I enjoy it. It's something that I think this particular entry in the series was really strong. Lots of extra characters, lots of reveals. I mean, they really stretched that content of that game out in a good way. Like, it was like an event. I think it was a little tiresome towards the end. I mean, ending with the Sora, which is so who they chose to end with, I think was smart, because anybody else, it would have just been like, blah. Okay, and so I think it's a really solid game. I really think some of my favorite ones was when Isabelle got announced, and she's like, "I'm going to Smash." Has a little letter out, like,
because we all thought that was for the new Animal Crossing, like trailer. Because I was at the end of the direct, and I was like, oh, "New Animal Crossing game," but it was no Isabelle and Smash. Yeah,
I put even two, and the same could be said for Mario Kart. Was this game came out in 2018. Mario Kart might have came out in 2017. I don't know, but like, so much time to have played that game and enjoyed it over the lifetime of the Switch. I never finished the story campaign of that game. I maybe would go back and finish it, but overall, I think Smash deserves to be included. It's not, I'm not a big fighting game person, but I enjoy playing it with friends. I think I'm pretty decent at it. It's been a while since I've played it, but definitely a good game. So
it's fun. Like, I own it. Yeah, and I liked keeping up with the battle pass or whatever it is, like the new characters they were adding. I liked keeping up with that and guessing, and we would make dumb guesses sometimes.
Oh yeah. Well, it's fun to see if you got it right, but it's like not the people who like, oh my god, they didn't put Geno in Smash. It was such a hack.
It's not that serious.
Oh my gosh. Like,
it's not that serious.
Yeah, I know. I remember us even like playing it on the plane.
We played
on one of our trips, and like I think it's like that's what Smash Bros is good at. It's like just a little quick pick up and play. I was never somebody who like needed to finish the classic mode and be competitive with every character. I think the little references that they put in there to other series and stuff is really admirable, almost like a museum or a collection of things from each series and different franchises that are in Smash Bros. So.
And having Sora, the reveal that Sora was actually there was so good. Yeah, it was incredible. Because I love Kingdom Hearts. If I played Kingdom Hearts on the Switch, it would have been on this.
Thank goodness you didn't.
It would have been on this list.
You would have played it at 2 frames per second.
Yeah, I know, with the cloud streaming or whatever. I don't know why they can't just make a normal port. Yeah, probably something about Disney. Yeah. But I was very happy about Sora. I like playing as him. He's a good character. Yeah. So, all right, my other honorable mention real quick is a game that I've not finished that I'm playing through right now that I'm completely obsessed with, called 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim.
Yay, I get a point for that.
And the only reason that it's not on the main list because I haven't finished it yet.
Yeah.
Because it will be on this list.
Yeah.
Like in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I've been able to not put a game down like this since like Xenoblade 3.
Yeah.
Like it's so good. There's the two different sections. There's the battle section, and then there's the story section. The story kind of plays out like a visual novel kind of. And then you have the battle section, and it's nice to go back and forth to like get a change of pace. The story is told in fragments. Yeah. You don't know what the hell's going on. And so I'm the man with the yarn on the.
You're the conspiracy guy.
Yes, I'm the conspiracy theorist. Yeah. Like, oh, okay, so this person is this person.
Yeah.
And this person is like taken over by this person, and they're doing this, and like this person is in the future. It's a time travel game. I love time travel.
Yeah.
And so there's all these different years. And I'm like trying to keep track of it all. Like in the middle of a scene, you can go to the event log in the middle of a story scene. You can just pause it and go, and I'll like go back to the scene I watched like a week ago, and like, okay, so that happened there. I was like, so is this leading to this? And I'm like making all these kind of theories and guesses, and it's just so much fun.
Yeah,
I love it so much.
I can practically hear you scream going whenever you're playing, and like,
I do that frequently.
Yeah, I played it last year, and it is a great game. It is one, again, that for whatever reason did not click for me. And when I played it, I was like, Brent is gonna love this game. And I think for me, it's one of those where I didn't do a whole lot of theory crafting. I just kind of let the experience like wash over me, and I was like, kind of like, okay, like this is happening in this time period. There's these characters, and there's this, and there's that, and I thought the tactical combat was pretty easy. I didn't have a hard time with it, which was fine.
Right.
So it was, then it just becomes about the story, and because I didn't have this like, oh, I think that this character is this da 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 da. It's like just kind of like more washed over me, and I think it's one of those things where this game does want you to do that. Where some stories are like, I feel like you can ruin it by expecting too much out of a story. Oh, I want it to do this thing, and it doesn't, and you're like, oh, well, that would have been cooler. But this game wants you to theory craft and figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Where other games are like, let me show you the twist as you go along.
Yeah.
Like, I'll give you the twist. You just like, you watch. It's kind of like watching TV, right? You just watch this story that we've written for you, and it'll happen. Where this one is like, we want you to think about what's coming next, because no matter what you think, it's going to be even wilder.
Right. Yes. That's how I feel about this game.
Yeah.
It's like every time there's like a reveal, I'm like, I was like, I didn't even consider that.
Yeah.
Or, it's so cool, and I'm really enjoying it, and it will be replaced by one of these games when I'm done, for sure.
Buy my Fire Emblem 3 houses. Get kicked off the list.
You can have it back.
Oh goodness. All right. Well, my last honorable mention before we go on to our number one picks. I don't know if you put this on here or not. I debated on whether putting this on the real list or not, or even including it in honorable mentions, because I feel like Baladro kind of fills the pick up and play role that this game had, and it's something I've played a good bit, but not a ton. And it's Tetris 99.
Oh wow! I never would have considered that for your list.
Yeah, I think it's an honorable mention. That's you know what I mean. It's like a game that I enjoyed. I enjoyed playing. I like Tetris a lot, and I feel like the battle royale style was really interesting to make Tetris like, competitive, where you're not just like kind of going against the score. I enjoyed getting the different themes that you could unlock. Like there was like a Pikmin 4 theme, there was Zelda themes, there were Fire Emblem themes, Luigi's Mansion themes. So again, it was just a fun pick up and play. I mean, over the years I've maybe played 25 hours, so not that much, but it's just something like, I like a game sometimes to be like a palate cleanser in between games, and it's like I don't know what to play. Tetris 99 could be something that kind of pops up and fills that void for me. So I'm not great. I've never won a round. I've made top 10 a couple times, but I like Tetris, and I like the fact that this one is kind of this different experience, this like competitive version. So I don't know, fun little honorable mention there. Not Will I look back and be like, oh, I missed Tetris 99, I need another one of those? No, I think I'll just like classic Tetris. But I'm glad that this one exists.
Yeah, it's a neat concept.
It's fun. Yeah,
and it's like the first of its kind. I know we've gotten.
That's
Mario
the other thing. It's only on Switch,
then, and then like F-Zero 99 like since then, and it was like the first like one of that kind,
like an arcadey kind of battle royale type game.
Yeah, and it's neat, and you can like sabotage other players. You can like choose who to target and what to do. It's neat. It's fun. I like it.
Yeah. It is like the only one of its kind, and I think it is interesting too that it only ever came out on Switch. Like it feels like something that would have been, I'm sure like Nintendo had the license, but it feels like a game that could have been released on any Steam system. You know, put it on PlayStation, put it on Xbox, but it was only ever on Switch, which I think is just kind of interesting. So I think it's one of those, like you said, because it's the only one, or like kind of started that 99 trend, and it's only available on Switch. That's why I wanted to kind of also put that on there as an honorable mention.
Yeah, sure.
So, all right, I think I know your number one.
Yeah, you get 1,000,000 points if you can.
Oh, 1,000,000.
You get all of your points erased if you're wrong.
If I'm wrong?
Yeah.
So, easy. It's got to be Xenoblade Chronicles, the third. Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
It's actually Twilight Princess. Oh, wait.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
Dang.
Bitter. But anyways.
Maybe on Switch too.
But yes, it is Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Not a surprise to anyone probably that knows me, but Xenoblade 3 is the best parts of 1 and the best parts of 2 put together into one game. Gameplay wise, character wise, the visuals are fantastic.
Yeah.
While the music is not as banging as like 2, there's still some memorable tracks in there for sure. The world music is a little more subdued.
Yeah.
I think different areas, but I don't know. I could go on for forever about this, but I think that kind of gives it a more desolate, unreal feeling.
Yeah.
For all the areas, but it's so good.
Yeah.
I put 175 hours I think into the base game, to the base without the DLC, and then I think it was like 230.
Wow.
240.
Yeah.
After the Future Redeemed. It's just I could play it for longer.
Yeah.
Like the areas are huge. There's so many places to go, so many things to see. The combat I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
I like how you have some characters who the combat is based more like a Xenoblade 1 fight system, and then some characters are closer around a Xenoblade 2 fight system. They're not as different as those two games.
Right.
It's kind of like a mesh, but it's still like one is time based and one is like hit based.
Yeah.
For recharge for your moves. And then with the Ouroboros attacks, or like the chain, are those called chain attacks?
Something
for
like
the
that.
Ouroboros.
Yeah.
Somehow I don't remember, but all of those are really good, and just like trying to get the highest damage possible is always so fun. I always like screenshotted that if I got a damage score higher than the last one, I like screenshot it and see like how high I can get it.
Yeah.
And some people get so high they can get like 100 million or even more damage. I never got that much, but it's just so fun. And then don't even get me started on Future Redeemed.
Yeah, like, it is a really good, like, should almost just be a separate game.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
DLC. Like, it's really good.
Like, I mean, it is set in the same world as 3, but it truly ties 1 and 2 and 3 all together into one. And it's the perfect ending to this. I think they called this at the end of an arc. Yeah. Or a story, so we're calling it like the Klaus Saga is what we've ended up calling it. And it's like it's a perfect ending.
It's a perfect work.
So good. It's a perfect work. it's peak fiction. Yeah. And like Future Redeemed was almost 2 years ago. Wow. But I still for some reason like have a hard time like coming up with words on how I feel about it. Yeah. Like it's like these games are so important to me. Yeah. And because they really like put me into the JRPG genre for serious. Yeah. And like just having spent literally all this time, like over 100 hours for each game with these characters, and then just like at the end of that happening, and then the end credits of the Future Redeemed had like clips from every game, and I cried so hard with the vocal track going, because it's always the vocal tracks that get you in these games. Takahashi likes to use vocal tracks, and the man's a genius. Yeah, he just is. His mind's an enigma. Yeah, he's a genius, and I love him so much.
One of the things that I really liked about 3 was the way you could almost like we talked about in Fire Emblem Three Houses, like the customization of your party.
Yeah,
the different classes. I think that was really good.
Any character can be any class, and you fight with 6 characters at one time,
which is really cool. Yeah, you can have 7 with the hero,
which is insane. And you can switch characters in battle.
Yeah,
it's so good.
I like that a lot. I think there's a lot of story elements. I think one of the things that I liked about 3 too also is the way the story is structured, where there's the main story and then there's the hero quests that add more like lore and background. I like that. I played through all of them. I did all of them. I hear people who just like, I just did the main story, and I'm like, you missed out.
You missed so much.
You missed out. Yeah. Like, you missed out on almost everything.
Yeah.
You know, and like, I think that there are some games. We talk a lot about Twilight Princess. How I think some of those dungeons should have been optional, like the snow thing, the ice dungeon or whatever. And I kind of feel like Xenoblade, I don't want to say it should be the opposite, where those should have been mandatory, but I think there are people like, oh, this is a side quest, I'm not doing it. I think really just missed out. On that. And so for me, Xenoblade 3, like you said, really does kind of take the best elements of 1 and 2. Its tone is more consistent throughout. It literally, like, you know, like you said, kind of has the combat of 1 and 2 put together.
Overall, it's still closer to 2, I think.
Yeah.
But it's got some elements of 1 in it.
Yeah.
Just as like, it's more just like a reference.
Right.
But the base of the combat's more like 2, which is a good thing.
Right. But really, really great game. The end of Future Redeemed was really great.
I didn't know it was happening.
Yeah,
I didn't know I was going to finish the game that night that I did, because I thought there was like 5 chapters, and I was on chapter 4, and I did a story beat, and all of a sudden, after everything, the credits started rolling. I was like, oh,
that was it.
It was like 3 a.m.
Yeah,
and I was sobbing on my couch.
That's how it be. I do think, just, you know, one thing, a thought across the three games is the voice actors do a great job.
Yes.
I know, like, we kind of talked about Rex a little bit, and maybe he's not the best, you know, example, especially with his young Rex.
Yeah,
but
he's the weakest.
Yeah, but I still think strong performances, like, across the board.
Yes. Like Adam Howden as Shulk.
Yeah.
And Harry McIntyre as Noah.
Yeah.
Ugh, no one else should have been casted for those characters. They just are Shulk and Noah, and it's just, they're all good. All the characters are good.
Melia, you know, Jenna Coleman. Who's like has like some stardom, is able to be Melia, which is really, really, really cool. Yeah. So, yeah,
I will say, in Future Redeemed, Matthew's character is a little goofy.
I like Matthew. To me, he's full of beans.
Yeah, he is. So, like, he was my least favorite part. Of the whole game, including everything. There are just some of his lines that I rolled my eyes at. Pretty hard. But that doesn't diminish it. That alone doesn't make it not the best Switch game ever to exist. I can gush on this for like an hour more, so I'm going to stop.
Well, that leaves my number one choice, which, if you were in the room with us recording right now, I have a big old clue as to what my number one is.
And I knew where it was.
I'm wearing a shirt that has a Dragon Quest slime on it. So, of course, Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D. No, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding yet. Dragon Quest 11 is my number one Switch game. And I think for me, Dragon Quest 11 was... I picked it up and I remembered playing Dragon Quest as a kid. My dad had some of the ones on the Nintendo, the NES, and then I remembered playing the Dragon Quest Monster games on the Game Boy Color. And I remember being obsessed with the way that you could, like, I don't know if it was breeding. They definitely had a breeding mechanic where you could just put 2 monsters in, it would give you a new one, and you'd hatch an egg type thing.
Like Persona.
Yeah, like Persona. And there's a lot of that in that monster series. But I was obsessed with all the different slimes you could have. There was bubble slimes, there was normal slimes, there was king slimes, there were like cherry slimes, and there was like all these cute little monsters, and I was just like so impressed because like Pokemon was like the only other thing I'd played around that time, and it didn't have as much variety, which is, you know, there's 150 Pokemon, but the variety in the monsters in those games. So for me, Dragon Quest 11 was kind of this like return to that. And it was my first mainline Dragon Quest that I completed. And it kind of started me on my journey of going back and playing through almost the rest of the series.
Yes.
And it just kind of like ignited this like, oh my gosh, these games are really good. And so I've played I played Dragon Quest 11, I then played Dragon Quest 8, and then I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've yet to play 7, I've yet to play 9, and 10 currently doesn't have an English translation. So, you know, for me, it's a game that got me back into one of my favorite, you know, like childhood series. It has a really expansive world full of many different cities, each with their own unique like dialects and visuals and cultures. You'll go to there's a town that you go to where everybody speaks in haiku. You'll go to a town where everybody has an Italian accent.
Yeah.
You go somewhere where everybody has like a Scottish accent. I know that the soundtrack is typically viewed as unpopular, especially like a lot of people complain about the soundtrack online. I really liked it.
I don't know why.
It has like a classical feel, and maybe people are more used to like an anime feel in their JRPGs.
I guess it is like very symphonic.
Yeah, but and especially if you play the original release where it was more like MIDI instead of like orchestral. But I think the soundtrack's gorgeous. The cast of characters and their voice actors crush it. Like Rab.
Yes.
I know that's probably not the first one that people would go to, but I love Rab's voice actor.
You love Rab.
Also, similar reasons why I love Nia in Xenoblade, like that Welsh accent. Sylvando is like a lovable character, King. You know, like just a really solid cast of characters who go on you with these little adventures, and every town's kind of got its like little mini story, and it's you know, I've heard people call it RPG comfort food. It's just like you know what you're getting, and I think that's so true. You know, I grew up, like I said, playing this game and like Pokemon, and so for me, turn-based combat, that's just part of playing an RPG. And so I think it has a really solid interpretation, especially with the pretty good AI that your party members have, so you can put auto battle on. And then, you know, there are like joint attacks that you can have with your pepped up state. There's a progression of your skill system where you purchase little tokens, and you've got your grid, and you're going around, and anything that it touches you can buy, so you can kind of beeline to skills, and if you don't like it you can reset it, and it doesn't punish you for doing that.
Those are always so nice.
Yeah.
When you can just like start over.
Yeah.
And you get all your points back.
There's a lot of things. There's a whole nother version of the game inside the game where you can play it in 2D instead of 3D.
Oh, I forgot about that.
You know, like that's ridiculous. There's all these homages to all the other Dragon Quest games, which I had played before I had gone back and played the other Dragon Quest games. So at some point I'd like to revisit those. But just one of my favorite series. It's classic. I mean, it is like the granddad of RPGs. You know, we wouldn't have Xenoblade Chronicles without Dragon Quest.
Truly.
I mean, because Takahashi worked on Chrono Trigger, which was a combination between Square and Enix was just Dragon Quest, and Final Fantasy was Square. So like, you know, he's working on that, and then goes and tries to make, you know, his own RPGs, and that turns into Xenogears, which and it just like there's so much in the Dragon Quest games that I think you can, like, I think if you had played Dragon Quest before Xenoblade, you would know about upgrading gear. You would know, because just like it's like one of those things where it's like, for me, having grown up on these games, that would have never been a thought. You know, like I would have been like, oh, that you just go to the town and you upgrade. Yeah. Like it wouldn't have been a thing that you would have had to figure out, you know? And there's just like,
and I never did play this as a kid.
Yeah.
Like Xenoblade was my first go in 2018.
Which is a wild first RPG.
I know.
Good for you. But like, you know, like that's the thing that's so cool about this list is like, you know, I love the Xenoblade series too, but I also like equally love like this very classic, which, you know, I'm not sure if you would love the Dragon Quest series, because I feel like the random encounters, like 11's good because you can see the enemies on the screen or whatever, but I think they tell some really great stories, and 11 kind of got me back into that and got me playing the series. So for that, you know, I would love to be able to play specifically 4 and 5 on the Switch, but I'm excited to play the Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D at some point this year. But, you know, Dragon Quest 11, if you haven't played it, is really, really solid. And so it's long, but it's really good.
I think it's mostly correct. Like, this is not a series that I see myself being too into. But I do want to try the 3, the 3 2D HD. Because that looks really good. It visually looks good. So I think I might try that one. Because they are remaking 1, 2, and 3.
So you can play the first
they're going 3, 2, 1, I think, right?
Yeah, 3, 2, 1, something like that.
What's the real order?
I'm not sure.
Chronological order, 3, 2, 1?
Yes, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
No, 3, 1, 2 would be chronological, I'm pretty sure. Because 1, you're the scion of Erdrick from 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
for a game that came out in the like 80s.
Right, yeah. But I think I will make that one as maybe my first.
Yeah, and that's a good choice. It's voice acted too now.
Oh, that's nice.
So that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dragon Quest, great series if you haven't played it.
And I watched you play 11.
He did.
So I know a lot about it.
Got a lot.
About the characters and all that stuff too.
Love the Citaceous theme.
Yes, it's so good.
So good.
There's one track, when you said people don't love the music, I thought about Cetacea, and I thought about this one random track in like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
And I cannot, for the life of me, know what kind of area you're in.
Yeah.
Or like what it is. I can't even sing it.
Yeah.
But I remember loving it so much.
Yeah.
So like, I have to like go dig.
We won't talk about how the guy who wrote him is a war crime denier. But the music itself's good. Separate the art from the artist.
Right, exactly.
But anyway, well, before we wrap up today's episode, it's time to reveal our winner. Brent's been keeping score. What's our final score over there?
So I got 6 points,
Oh.
which means I got 5 games because you gave me 2 for that one game.
There you go.
So I got 5 games that were on your list, and then Hunter got 7.5 points.
7.5. If I put melatonin up, could have got a whole point there instead of half.
Oh, melatonin was the
because it was in your. I put it in. I thought it was in your honorable mention.
Yeah. So
I thought
7.5 to 6. Not bad.
Not bad. I thought that you would have had East 8.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
And I thought you would have had Rhyme.
Oh, I see. I thought about Rhyme too.
I thought it would have been somewhere on there. Because that was one of the only games you had for a long time.
Right.
On the Switch. I loved it. And you loved it a lot.
Yeah, because it was just one of those early release games. I also considered Super Mario Odyssey pretty heavily because I loved that game.
I considered really Wonder.
See, I considered Wonder for you too.
Yeah.
I haven't finished Wonder yet.
Yeah.
So
what was on your list for me that?
Oh, okay. This is kind of chaotic.
Well, that tracks for me.
Yeah, I put Ace Attorney.
I thought about Ace Attorney, but I didn't want 2 visual novels, so I put AI Somnium Files.
Okay.
But you should play Ace Attorney.
And in the same vein, I put Emio.
I really considered... I had Emio on there, and I was just like, if I only had to recommend one, I would do AI Somnium Files. But Emio is so good. I also had just talked about it in my previous video.
Right, yeah.
So that's why,
And then... Oh, I put Suika game.
That was gonna be Suika was I put Tetris 99, but Suika was in that spot before. Okay. Because it's a pickup puzzle game. Yeah. Yeah, and I thought also like I got a ton of people to play Suika. Right. And so that was considered for sure.
Yeah. And then everything else was right. I said this before, but I did a short hike and you did Tome instead.
Yeah.
Oh, I put Octopath.
That was on there for a minute.
Because I wasn't sure. But then I put that, but I wasn't sure how much you liked it.
Yeah.
I know you liked it, but I didn't know if you liked it as much as the other ones. But I put it on there anyway.
I think Octopath is good. I stopped playing it and came back where every one of these other games I played straight through.
Yeah.
I don't know if that means I like it more or less to come back. But, I think...
You gave it another shot.
Yeah.
And you ended up really liking it. So I don't think that matters.
Well, I want to give a thanks to Brent for coming on today's episode and talking about some of his favorite games. I hope that you found something new to play or got to hear us talk about one of your favorites. If there is something that we should play, let us know in the comments down below and let us know your top 10 Switch games. If you liked what you've heard on the channel, feel free to go back and listen to my other video about the games that I played during 2024. And we hope that you like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. We'll see you in the next one. Game on! Oh man.